Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like you lost, even after saying everything you wanted? That lingering knot in your throat, the sense of defeat despite your efforts, is not uncommon. In a world where loudness is mistaken for strength, where people dominate with arrogance masked as confidence, many have come to see silence as weakness. But what if that belief is entirely wrong? What if silence isn't submission, but power in its purest form? Silence is strength, not surrender. We've been taught that truth must be defended, that if we don't speak, we lose. But this is often a symptom of a fragile ego desperate for validation. The philosopher Nietzsche, often misunderstood, saw this clearly. Those who speak too much reveal too much. Those who need to convince others are already at a disadvantage. Nietzsche's wisdom flips the common narrative. Rather than view silence as a void, he regarded it as an overwhelming presence. Silence disorients. It forces others to confront their thoughts without the comfort of your reaction. For those tired of being ignored, mocked, or misunderstood, silence isn't your defeat, it's your untapped weapon. The ego's trap. The need to prove. Why do we feel the urge to justify, explain, or argue? Because our egos, fragile and fearful, demand protection. Most debates are not about truth but about power. When you argue to prove yourself, you're already ensnared in someone else's game. The desire to be understood, to be seen as right, keeps you weak and reactive. Nietzsche spoke of herd morality, a system built on the need for approval. Those who seek validation bend to expectations and compromise their strength. True power, he said, lies in the refusal to need agreement. It is in remaining calm amid chaos and in being misunderstood without losing composure. The Übermensch and the language of silence. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, or Overman, embodies this elevated state of being. This person transcends societal norms, shapes their reality, and exerts influence without needing to shout. The Übermensch speaks rarely, but with piercing precision. His silence is not emptiness, it is dominance, poise, and self-mastery. While others fumble with words to assert control, the Übermensch observes, absorbs, and waits. Every spoken word is a strategic move. Every pause builds tension. In silence, he becomes unpredictable, a force that disrupts, disarms, and commands. Why silence threatens others? Silence creates discomfort not just because it's quiet, but because it reflects. When you don't respond, the other person hears only themselves, and often, they don't like what they hear. They project insecurities onto you. They wonder if you're judging, if you've spotted their weakness. Without a reaction, they lose control of the narrative. Psychologically, silence is often perceived as judgment. It destabilizes manipulators who rely on your emotional reactions. When you don't respond, they panic. You break the cycle. You force them to confront their own noise, and in that chaos, they expose themselves. The weapons of silence. To use silence strategically is not to retreat, but to engage with precision. Nietzsche's philosophy outlines how silence can be wielded like a blade. 1. Be silent when you most want to speak. Resisting the urge to respond is the first act of power. Reactivity is surrender. Silence signals control. 2. Observe with intent. Don't just listen, study. Find the cracks in others' facades. Notice what they're trying to hide. 3. Let time work. Prolonged silence creates tension. That tension becomes pressure. People break under the weight of waiting. 4. Be unpredictable. Predictability is vulnerability. Silence makes you enigmatic, unreadable, and the unreadable is feared. But beware, silence is not passivity. It is not weakness. It is choice. It is readiness. And when you finally speak, your words strike with the power of accumulated presence. When silence becomes submission, yet not all silence is strength. Some remain silent out of fear, out of guilt, or from a desire to keep the peace. But this kind of silence is dangerous. It is disguised submission. It allows others to control, to dominate, to build empires on your retreat. Nietzsche warned of the morality of slaves, a mindset that glorifies obedience and humility as virtues while masking powerlessness. If your silence stems from fear, it is not strength, it is surrender. And you are being used. To reclaim power, your silence must become conscious. A tool, not a trap. A declaration of presence, not an excuse for absence. Becoming the master of your silence. To embody the Übermensch is to no longer need validation. It is to stop reacting and start shaping. Your silence should no longer be an escape but a roar without sound. Let it be your armor, your weapon, your command. Look at your life. How often have you yielded to keep peace? How often have you let others speak for you? From this moment on, your silence must change its tone. Let it become the invisible force that commands respect and reshapes every room you enter. Because in a world full of noise, those who master silence become kings.